I'm 22 years old. I'm completely alone on the porch of this backpacker's hut in the middle of the rainforest on this little island off the coast of New Zealand. And I'm just like loving the small world of this little island. There's like hardly any other people on this island, and I just have this little hut all to myself. It's like this little awesome A-frame plywood hut. And it's just me and the woods, and it just feels so good. So there's no running water, no electricity, and I need to, thank you. No running water, no electricity in this hut, and I need to boil water. And there's like a wood stove on the porch of this hut, and I start to build my little fire inside the wood stove to boil water for the night and the next day. And as I'm building the fire, I realize that this was really the first time that I've ever been by myself, just building a fire. And this was kind of a huge moment to realize that, because like I had been camping, I had been like around fires before, but just never like been alone and like the sole one responsible for building this fire. So I'm psyched. I build the fire and the boil of water and it works, and I'm just like, oh, I have this like new like confidence, and I feel so like awesome. And it's still like daylight, so I'm getting excited to later on just build a fire and just like sit by the fire. But since it's still daylight, I go for a hike, and I'm walking in this like gorgeous, pristine woods. And as I'm walking, there's this low branch, and I see this just like huge owl just sitting on the branch, and it's looking right at me. And I'm like shocked. I've never seen an owl this close up, and it's daylight, and so I just take it in for a minute. And I continue to walk, and I'm heading back to the hut, but it's still sitting with me. I'm just like, good omen? Yeah, definitely. So I'm back at the hut, it's nightfall, and I build my little fire inside the kitchen, and it looks like fire belongs in this place. Like there's a little ash on the floor, and there's like scorch marks on the wall. So I'm building my little fire. I'm totally like kicked back and like loving just like the whole world that I am in, just like this little small awesome world. And I'm just like teaching myself how to play harmonica, and like when the saints go marching in, and like have my little book, and I'm just so like in love. And it starts to get a little smoky in there, so I open the window, but you know, I don't really think much of it. I sit back down, play harmonica, and then all of a sudden there's like crack! This really loud sound. And I just kind of like stop for a second, and way high above me it happens again. It's like crackle, crackle, crack! And I look up, and like 15 feet above me is the ceiling, and there's just like a little flame, just like flickering out from behind the wall, just like licking the ceiling. And there's like a little fire right in front of me, but then there's like these flames way high above me. So I'm like, ah. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I have the water that I boiled. So I grab my little 2 buckets of water, and I go around the other side of the wall. And on the other side of the wall, it's just like, there's just like massive black smoke, just like huge amounts of black soot, just like this. There's like these bunk beds have caught on fire that are like these old mattresses from the 70s that are just like already. And I have my little like buckets, and I'm just like, and it just like creates more smoke, and I do my second one, and like the second one's empty, and there's just fire crawling along the whole like plywood wall. And I know I'm out of water, and so it's like, go. So I start to go back through the kitchen, and as I'm going back through the kitchen, it's like the whole thing is catching, and everything's getting really hot and catching really fast behind me, and like the windows are smashing like, pew, pew, like right next to my head. And I go and I start to really collect my stuff up, and I'm gathering my sleeping bag, and I'm like, have my headlamp on, and I'm just like gathering up all my stuff, stuff it in my sleeping bag, like trying to like gather it all up. And all of a sudden, it's just like total blackness. All the smoke had started to engulf the room that I was in. and it totally put out my headlamp and I couldn't see anymore. And I took a moment and started to, like, I breathed in a lot of the smoke in that moment, and I knew, like, that was the moment, like, get out or you're dead. So I did. I grabbed my backpack, I threw it off the porch. I go and I jump off the porch and I run to the bottom of the lawn with my backpack, and I drop my backpack, and by the time I go back to, like, try to go back to get a couple of other items that I thought I could still get, it was just still, the whole entire hut was just, like, totally engulfed. It was massive, this huge, like, horrible, magnificent sight. And I stood there and I was, like, thinking about how I was going to get out of the forest, and all the wildlife that were just, like, going to have to flee for their lives, all the owls and all the other critters that are in the woods. And then I actually just thought for myself for a second, like, I should probably take a picture. So I took a picture. But then I got out, and I, like, got out of the forest, and I had to get out barefoot, and by the time I got back around, there was actually, like, just a ranger standing there with a hose and a massive amount of, like glowing coals burning, and there was just, like, 4 steel posts standing. And anyways, yeah, like I said, I teach children how to build fires, so if you want my card.